What is the state of water in Colorado? Simple question. How would, probably not a simple answer, how would you couch that for the people of Douglas County?
We used to have this phrase, George, that was like, the state of Colorado is determined by the state of our water. And when we were first created, that it was just, water was the most important thing that we do in the state, period. So currently, we've certainly experienced a lot of growth. That gets a lot of media attention. We have climate change is a big issue for a lot of people, whether you say it's man-induced or you say it's just natural cycles. From a water manager's standpoint, it doesn't matter what the cause is, it's the reality of that you have to face on variable water supplies, which we've lived with in Colorado for as long as human beings have been here. The archaeological record shows that, and just our more recent data shows that we have a very variable water supply and are prone to long and extended droughts. Now, when I first came in this field, in 1980, when I was first really actively engaged on it, we went through a 20-year period where we never really experienced serious drought in this state. And so everybody that came in with my generation in the early days, really, they knew about the drought from the 50s, and the 30s, but we didn't really, we didn't experience it. And so that changed in the last 20 years, which has been radically different. So when I look at the last 40 years of most of my career, I look at the first 20 has been relatively abundant supplies, some variability, not too bad. I look at the last 20 years, serious drought, serious super wet years, 2013, yep. Big floods, you remember those. And so it's just, we seem to, certainly in the last 20 years, have had a lot of variability. Today, when we think about our water supplies, and there's always a question, do we have enough? Well, the answer is, that's all we got. And so we learn to manage and deal with that water, and the primary way we do that is through water storage. And in Colorado, almost 80% or so of our water supply is coming off of snowmelt. And so we rely very heavily on that, but our snowmelt comes in about a 6-week period, 6-7 weeks. It's coming earlier, and that thing I've certainly have observed, that it's coming 2-3 weeks earlier than it did when I first started my career. And we just see earlier peaks and earlier runoff, making storage that much more important, because now that runoff is coming earlier in the summer, but we keep using water throughout the year in municipal, indoors is pretty constant all year round. And summer, but we're still irrigating in August and September, our farmers need that water supply as well. So when we think about, farmers are much more used to dealing with extremes and cycles and water year to year and through the year. Us that live in the city, we're a little fussier. We want to be able to turn that tap on and there's the water. Just like the electricity here, we want it to be working all the time, without exception. If my internet goes out, I'm like, we get upset really quick. Yeah. And so we expect that water, especially on the municipal side, on the domestic providers, we expect to have that water on all the time. So when we think about, do we have enough water, cities are constantly planning ahead. Most of our major cities, what you'll see is that their demand has been very flat or even declining as population has been increasing.
Right,
and
yeah, we've heard about that.
Yeah, so why is that? Because when I first started, I'm like, man, if we could get people to cut like 10% of our demand, man, that would be a huge success. We thought that's what conservation was all about. And in 2002, when we hit the drought here now 20 years ago, that first bad drought year, I was almost literally in tears when people were dropping their water use 25, 30% plus, which made a huge difference in our storage levels. But people do respond very well to drought. When they see water When they see know that water supplies are scarce, they're really good at responding to that. Average citizens don't get enough credit for it, and it's really unfortunate, George, that we don't talk about the accomplishments that we've had. So yeah.
Well, that's the thing. We're going through a process to try to fund projects in Douglas County with the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Act plan, American Rescue Plan Act funds, ARPA funds, and a lot of those are municipal or at least residential-oriented systems. So obviously, I've got ranchers in my district in Douglas County. They got a different story in dealing with drought and the challenges that come in.